What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. In this video, we're going to talk about the Galaxy S23 Ultra. And this is kind of a review because I've had this phone for over a week at this point, and I want to give you the 7 things that I like about this phone and the 3 things that I don't. So without further ado, let's get into this. One of the first big improvements about the Galaxy S23 Ultra is battery life. Now, battery life is pretty crazy on this, and to me, it makes sense and it doesn't make sense. There's one of the things that's supposed to be improved on this is the technology behind this display, which displays do eat up a lot of the battery life on any device. And this is supposed to have a technology built into it that just sips at the battery instead of really just gulping it down, especially compared to the last generation of this phone. The other big thing on this would be the new processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, that is supposed to also bring some improvements in terms of battery consumption and then also power in general, which we'll get to in just a moment. But battery life, if you're looking for all-day battery life, you should get it with this phone. You know, there'll be updates that come out and maybe it'll make the battery life worse, or maybe it'll make it life better, which happens to almost any device. But ultimately, battery life is very, very impressive on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It really surprises me how good it truly is. Now, we just spoke about the processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and this Galaxy phone has a customized version of it, basically overclocked version of it, and it brings some massive, massive improvements, and you can see it right off the bat in benchmarks. It's getting, 1,000 points or more higher than the previous generation of the Galaxy phone, which used the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus version. And it's just so impressive to see what Samsung and Qualcomm/Snapdragon have done with the performance of this. It's mind-boggling because it's getting into territory where iPhone used to be the king with their A processors and they would beat everybody, doesn't matter when they would do it. And now Snapdragon is getting there and beating it in some instances, especially in the graphics compartment. So if you're a gamer, you're a person that loves to play games, this is a fantastic phone for that because you're gonna get great performance with gaming. And then just overall usage of this is super, super smooth. A lot smoother in some regards, definitely to some of their older phones. Maybe not a huge difference between some of the most recent phones, but there is a little bit of difference. You'll notice some difference with just day-to-day usage of the phone. So I'm very impressed with the performance they've done on this S23 Ultra. Now, we talked about the display a little bit ago, saying that, they put some technology in this that really helps with battery life. And the nits and the brightness is still the same as it has been the last year, 1750, which is amazing. It's not the absolute best. The brightest display on the market still goes to the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, but this is still a really beautiful display. It's very vibrant, it gets great colors, you get great brightness. The overall quality of everything looks amazing. Have you be watching a video or playing games, it's fantastic. It's definitely maybe the best display on a Android side for phones. It's beautiful, and it might not be my absolute favorite size of display because I'm a fold guy in day-to-day usage, but I absolutely love the quality of the display. It's still magnificent. Now, number 4 is really on basically all the Galaxy phones, but you can't underrate it. It's the software. I love One UI software. There's so much customization. There's so much fluidness to it now. There's so much control that you can do with it. You can change basically anything you want on it. I love it. It's beautiful. The only thing I don't like, and this isn't even a big deal, is when you swipe up, I want a vertical view of my apps, but you can only go left to right, unfortunately, when you're using this. I don't know why they don't allow me to change that, or at least have that as an option. But otherwise, it works fantastic, the software. I love that they have Good Lock still built into this, as you would expect anyway. And the apps work great. I love that they have their own, it can be a plus and a minus having their own Samsung apps, but for me, I'm fine with it. I like their calculator apps and I like their camera app. It's really easy to use. I like the way their quick toggles look. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff I like about their software. So that's a definitely, again, even though it's on almost all their other phones, it's a really, really nice thing. Now, I haven't been a huge fan of fingerprint sensors that lied underneath the display, but there's something about this one. I mean, it was like that in last year, I guess, as well, but it seems a little bit more accurate and smooth. I actually like the fingerprint sensor. I don't mind it all that much on these slab phones. It's very accurate. It's very fast. I don't have to press really hard. I'm digging it. I think it's really, really nice. They did a nice job on it. It works great. So that would definitely be one of the things I like about this phone now. It's like making me almost feel like I want it in most of my phones. I don't want it in the folding phones, but you know, if it's in all the other phones and it's as accurate as it is on almost any other phone they release in the future, if not better, I'm a big fan of it. Now the phone hasn't changed all that much in terms of the way that it looks, but there's just something about this purple color and the way that it looks. It's matte. I love it. I think the phone looks fantastic. It looks really premium as well. I love the colors that go around the camera to match the phone in general. It looks wonderful. It looks really, really nice. All the way around, have it be the frame, everything. It looks great. I love the look of this phone. I'm not turned off by it in any way. So if you want a really nice looking premium feeling phone, S23 Ultra. I'm not a big S Pen person, so I'm thinking outside the box of things that, you know, I don't mind, that I kind of like, but I'm not using them every day, and it's the S Pen. You know, having the S Pen be inside the phone is awesome. It's nothing new. They've had it in the Note series, having it there, and let's be honest, the features that they give you are the same, but being able to use this to capture a photo from far away, or to control your phone without touching it, or to even just write out a list of groceries, or to just control your phone with, it's awesome. And at the same time, you can push it right back into the phone when you're done with it, and you won't lose it. It's gonna tell you if it's not in your phone. It's great. So if you're a big S Pen person, having it be able to go right into the phone is a great thing. Now this last one I was expecting, and it did ring to come and be true, and that is the speakers are improved on here. The volume seems to be a little bit louder, but the overall quality of the sound that you get versus say like S22 Ultra or one of their older phones, it has been improved. It sounds good. I am impressed with it, and it's one of the things that I like the most about this S23 Ultra is the improved speakers. Here's a bonus eighth one, which I had on my list and I missed it somehow. I don't know how I did it, but it was on my list, and it's the camera. This is one of the most improved things on here. And when I say one of the most improved, it's a lot of things haven't changed that much to be improved that much. Like I would say the battery life is probably the most improved thing on here, but camera is definitely in the top 3 or 4 things that are improved on here that you'll notice. Now, the biggest thing that I notice on here is the clarity of the photos. They are clearer, have them be with videos or photos in general, versus the competition that Samsung has put out previous to this phone. So that would be like, if you really want a great camera, this is definitely up there. Now, I wouldn't maybe say it's the absolute best. Is it the best sometimes? Yes. Is it the best all the time? No. But it takes and records great videos and photos, have them be on the front or the back camera. So if you're looking for a really, really good camera phone, this is really nice. Now, the 3 things that I don't like about this phone, to be fair, don't really affect me all that much. Maybe one of them does, but at the end of the day, not a huge deal per se, because I have to admit this phone, as much as I came off in the beginning saying, you know, it's not gonna be that amazing, it's not gonna be that different, and it isn't really that different, it isn't that much improved, but there are small things that have happened to this phone that make it a pretty perfect phone in a lot of ways. So let's get into the first one. The first one being price. The price is kind of expensive. In some places it's been increased. Their competition has, in some ways, is cheaper or has gotten cheaper. So you have to factor all that in there. And also when you factor in that their trade-in values are really bad, the worst they've basically ever been for this device in a really, really, really long time, it's a turnoff. And it's one of the things I don't like about this phone. Again, it's not directly physically about this phone, but it's actually the process of getting the phone. And I feel like that is part of this. So I'm unhappy with that. I would like to see the prices either come down or in trade-ins much, much improved. Another thing I would have loved to see, and I really feel like they need to, is improve the charging. The wireless charging and the wired charging. You get 45 watts and 15 watts for wireless. Their competition is, it's killing this, especially in China. You can get, I don't even know, 80 watts, 100 watts charging on their competitors over in China, and people are gonna complain that the battery itself is gonna die out. There's ways that they can control that, or you can turn it off. At least give me the option in the settings to get faster charging. If you're worried about the battery dying so quick, then give people the option of turning a feature off. Have it off by default, and then I have to find it myself in order to get faster charging. But I would love to see the 45 watt go up to 80 or 100 watts or something like that, so it charges much, much faster. So, and then same thing on the wireless. I'd love to see 50 watts at least of wireless charging on here. So those are things that I would love to see improved. The last one doesn't affect me at all because I have the 512 gigabyte with 12 gigs of RAM. But if you get the base version of this phone, the 256, it comes with only 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's a really, and most people won't even know it. They're gonna buy the phone and the phone might work perfectly for them. But someone that's power hungry, that wants the best performance, that expects the best from the Ultra line, Samsung should have that up in front, right in your face saying, you know what, you're only getting 8 gigs of RAM with this. You might wanna get the next step up. It's a sad thing in a way, a lot of ways. I think that, if you're not looking at the specs directly, which I feel like a lot of people don't, the normal consumer doesn't, they won't notice it and they're gonna be paying a little bit less for potentially a lot less performance in the long run. So I'd like to see that changing, them get rid of the 8 gigabyte RAM model on the Ultra line. Let me know your thoughts. What are your favorite things and least favorite things about this phone? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys down the road. Peace.